Alright, boys, today we're going to be talking about the first quest in Outward. It's Blood Price. I'm going to be doing a little walkthrough on it and a few other things just to get you started in the game. So, let's hop right into it. So first things first, when you get out of bed, there'll be some clothes and stuff on the ground. Pick all that stuff up. Right now we're just going to pick up everything in the house that we possibly can just to get us started. Right here there's a backpack on the ground. I've already kind of picked some of this stuff up, but this is your chest. This stuff is persistent all the time. Anything you put in here will stay in here. Some berries, some beef jerky over here on these barrels. And we're going to go downstairs. This is your kitchen. When you can make different foods and stuff down here. Pick up all your recipes and stuff that you find. I'll give you guys a little preview of the food crafting. This particular food that I just made, those tarts, sweet tarts, don't do much for healing or anything like that. They're just food, that's it. And once you've done all that, we're going to walk outside
Rise and shine,
talk to these
Trog
guys. You can pretty
Spawn.
much say,
You think you
answer
can nip
whatever
off for
you
4
want. It
months
doesn't
and
make
not
any
pay
difference.
what you owe the tribe?
A blood price is sacred. You can't just shrug off that responsibility.
If I don't see the money from you by the time I count to 10, you'll regret you ever came home! Yeah, you were on that ship too, weren't you? How many lives must your family be responsible for destroying before enough is enough?
If you can't make the payments you missed, we will seize your home!
Enough of this! 12 people are dead. Stop this shameful behavior at once. To threaten someone like this while the lost lives are still fresh.
But, Chamber Lady Aberdeen.
I said that is enough!
I know my name's
Oliel,
Jim and
see
I'm
these
playing a
people
female.
off, would you?
You heard, just Mother. The second
Away with
account
you,
that
or
I
I will
started just to
personally
do
see
these
to it that you
videos
get
for you guys.
I'm sorry that was the first thing you woke up to. Please forgive them.
As soon as you get a
Many of them
cutscene,
have
of course, you
If
can
I
talk
could
to
do
her
more, I
and
would.
go through her dialogue.
The most I can do for you is declare a mourning period and buy you a little time. That gives you a few days to pay back the money. Either gather the money or earn a
There's
tribal.
two ways you can
once
do
you
this
make the
quest, like it
payment,
says
come
there.
see me.
Either
Please
you can
find a
make
way
up
to make it work.
$150, which really isn't that hard, but money
That
is
does
kind
seem
of
like your
important in
most
this game.
never forget.
Or you can
If you
get
can do a great deed for
the
some once
tribal
you're ready
favor,
to leave Cieza, remember,
and you don't
you
have to
only
pay
have a few
anything.
days.
Now, this is the route that I went
your
with, and we'll
ancestors
get
watch
further
over
into
you.
that here in just a few minutes.
I'm
As soon
glad
as you're
you
done talking to her,
survived the
come
wreck.
talk to this lady.
Rufus commissioned it for me as a going-away present. But with the shipwreck, it wouldn't be right to leave so soon. I know. Risa has already promised me that she and I will be having a long talk. I know. I always strive to be better than today.
And of course, as most of these games, right click is block, left click is attack.
Can I help you?
If you need information to these guys in all towns, there'll be guards around that you can talk to get directions and where people are and who they are and
Stay
stuff
safe.
like that. Now we're going to walk down here to the main town. The food trader is right here on my right. I just walked by him. The weapons trader is straight ahead of me. I believe I talked to him here. And then the alchemist is over to the right there. Now we're going to come out here straight to the coast, and on this little fish wreck there's a machete. Go ahead and pick that up. It's going to be the weapon we're going to be using for the moment time
I wish I
being.
could greet you with a...
Come over here
Yesterday
and
I was
talk to
leading
this
our
guy.
most ambitious... The lighthouse wasn't lit at the time. We lost everyone who was below the... Unfortunately, yes. What little we could salvage from the wreck has gone to the families of my drowned men. Kind as ever. The blood price on your head is disgusting. You weren't even... More like find an early grave and lose... Suffering doesn't... I'm sorry I don't have better news. Best of luck with squaring things with... Actually, I do have a small stash of goods I hid in case of disaster.
Now we'll talk about where this stash is in a later video.
Remember, you're not just a link in a chain. You're worth more than the blood in your veins.
Walk over here to this fountain. There'll be a water skin on the edge of it. Pick it up. Hit F on it to fill it up. You can also hold F to drink it. I'm sure you can read. Walk out here on the dock, and on the left side of the dock there will be a fishing trident or whatever you want to call it. I don't think I use it here, but basically if you see a puddle of fish in the lake, a group of fish in the lake, you can just walk up to them and catch fish. It's a good way to get food and some crafting supplies as well. Make sure you cook the fish on a fire before you eat it. Coming back behind here, and on top of the balcony here, you're gonna talk to this lady. She's gonna give you a quest for a couple of things. Once again, we'll talk about that in
Greetings,
another
friend.
video. This is just really about the first mission.
Lend me your ear. As a matter of fact, here's what I need. You'll know it if you find it. Perfect. Make sure you have... Lend me your ear. I'll see you.
And we're gonna walk out here on the dock. There's one more guy I want to talk to out here. He doesn't really give you any missions or anything, but he gives you some pretty good stuff you're gonna need. Now, don't know what happens if you're mean to this guy. Always play it nice.
What brings you here?
This is the stuff he
How's
gives
my
me. You
brother
guys let me
doing?
know if he gives you something different. If you tell him mean.
Yeah, shame about the shipwreck. Accidents like this happen all the time. Exactly. If my brother had a smaller ship, I guarantee you wouldn't have had any trouble coasting in. I don't think he wants my help. Oh, this is the worst day I've had in forever.
They come in this door. This is like their storage area, but there's also an exit out the other side that gets us close to where we want to go. And that's one big thing about this game. Any of the dungeons and stuff, when you come out the other side of them, it's usually a shortcut. So if you ever need to get back in there, or if it's a shortcut to another area, which I'll explain some more in some other videos, because there is some areas that you have to go through dungeons to progress in this zone. And just kind of run around here and look around, pick up everything. Now, loot is, it changes for everybody. I'm not sure about the laying scrolls, but the stuff that's in the boxes and everything like this here, this will be specific to your playthrough. It'll have different stuff in it than what I have. Always pay attention to your weapons, you know. Put the stuff on with the better damage, and pay attention to your attack speed and all that kind of stuff as well. You don't want to pick up a lot of stuff right now. See, I threw that pickaxe back down because you can't carry a whole lot of weight. Always make sure you look around, make sure there's no other enemies close before you engage somebody. If you get 3 or 4 guys on you at once, they're going to kill you. The most important thing in the beginning especially is blocking. Block as much as you can. Now you see I've got 2 guys on me. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of the first guy. So I'm not fighting 2 people at once. It is extremely difficult to fight more than one person in the early game when you only have single-handed weapons and no magic or anything like that. Like that, there's no point in picking up the wood. It's pretty useless. Every single tree that you come across will have wood, an unlimited supply of wood. Now you see that I'm kind of balancing out the weight between my pockets and my bag and all that kind of stuff. And like the sign says, once you jump down there, you can't get back up this way. You have to go around the long way. And before you do all this, you should have picked up a bandage somewhere in town. But just make sure you have a bandage on you before you go this way. Always make sure you put your lantern up or turn it off, because they do run out of fuel. And early game, you usually don't have the oil you need to refill them. You can buy it from the traders, but once you get a little further, I mean, I usually have like 10 or 15 of them at a time, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. That crab guy in front of me, you can try to attack him if you want to, but the best way I do with him is once I have a bow and I could get ranged attacks on them, that's fine, because they throw electric balls at you and they hurt.
I'm not going to die. Thanks a bunch.
See, now you've picked up a tribal favor. All you had to do is walk out here and get this guy
Don't think I'm fit to run back home just yet.
Always make sure you use scrolls that you pick up. You already know them that sell them to the traders, but they're not worth much. There's certain trunks like this one up here that you can search that look different than the other trees that are cut off, so you can always tell what they look like. There's quite a few of them spread out over this area of the map. And you can deconstruct old clothes, stuff that you're not going to use, into linen cloth, and then with linen cloth you can make bandages. And all your basic stuff you can pretty much make with no tables or anything like that. Your weapons and stuff like that you can all make in your hand. There's no crafting tables for those. The only things you have crafting tables for is food that requires more than one ingredient, and potions, elixirs, and things like that. Once again, when you're fighting somebody, and you'll see here in a second, you really need to watch your health, block, and learn their attack patterns before you start engaging them really heavily. I get a little over aggressive here, and you'll see here in just a second. If I'd have just waited a little bit longer, I could have ended that differently. Now, anytime you die, you'll end up in one of like 5 or 6 different random areas, depending on what killed you and what area you were in when you died. You always want to make sure you're engaging your enemies in the widest open places that you can get, unless they're throwing magic guys, and then you kind of want to try to stay around cover, but we'll talk more about that later. If I'd just took a little more time the first time. I wouldn't be where I am now. Now, if you notice the dark red circle around on the right side of my bar, when you're hurt, the longer you stay hurt, the less overall health you will have. And the same thing with stamina. The more stamina you burn, the faster the blockout bar is going to come in. Now with these guys, when you have more than one enemy, you really want to try to separate them. With the especially early game, with the wolves, it's hard because they pretty much stay together in a pack. If you've got more than one, your best bet early game is just to get away from them. It's pretty easy to outrun just about anything in this game. And once again, monster positions and stuff like that is persistent in this game. So the next time I go out that door, those two wolves are going to be waiting right there for me. And usually the first thing I do when I get back into town, I'll go sell the stuff that I want to get rid of just to get the weight off of me. Right here, I shouldn't have sold that meat, but that's alright. The meat you can actually cook and turn into, well, cooked meat, and that actually gives you health over time, kind of like the bandages too. You can see I'm already right at about 50 coins. Skin, you always got to pay attention to the bottom left corner. It'll tell you when you're hungry, when you're thirsty, tell you diseases, and in the tab menu, there's a menu that tells you specifically what each disease will do to you and stuff like that. And usually right after I sell everything when I get back into town, I'll head back up to the lighthouse and sleep it off to get my health and my stamina back to 100%. Now when you're sleeping in a town, in the inn or in your house, every town will have a house that you can acquire. You don't have to worry about food or water or anything like that. When you're out in the wilderness and you're using a tent, you do have to worry about food and water, and you also have to worry about ambushes and things like that. Usually about 10 hours, even when you're really hurt, usually about 10 hours to take care of everything. Usually you just kind of want to cruise around everywhere, because once again, the more you run, the less stamina you're going to have overall.
Greetings. How go your efforts? You have a way to make that payment. And on time, too. I'm impressed. Well done. Cierzo thanks you for your... Oliel and Izan are leaving Cierzo.
Now this is your next quest. I'm going to be talking about
Oliel
this
is
in
leaving
the
to go
next
join
video.
the holy mission of Elat. As will we all.
There's a few things we're going to do in the next video. The next
A
2
blood
quests
price
I
has
think
been
we're going to
declared
do in the
upon his
next one.
bloodline. Roland fell asleep. This is unacceptable. This is the way things have to be. Come back once you've said your goodbyes to them.
Now once you talk to her, if you come back in this back room and go upstairs, there's a chest. There's usually a few things in here. One time I got a hat. This time I got the dress. And it really doesn't, they're not all that great, but they sell pretty good. And trust me guys, you're going to die probably a lot in the early game. So don't get discouraged. You really don't lose anything. And when you die, if your backpack's not on your back, just look at the compass and it'll tell you where it's at. It points to it. Alrighty fellas, well I think that's it for this video. Like, subscribe,